Hearing none?
No takers.
No hands raised?
No hands raised.
I'll assume none. Approval of the last meeting minutes, the April meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 3rd minutes.
I'll support.
Kingsley, authorized, and Hathaway support. Okay. Presentation to the board.
I think we need to vote on that.
Oh, on what?
The minutes.
The minutes.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. The supervisor
I don't
is a
do this
stickler for
enough.
democracy.
All right. Let's have a vote then in that case. Calleja?
Aye.
Flintoft?
Aye.
Kingsley?
Aye.
Hathaway?
Aye.
McLaughlin? Aye. Navarre? Aye. Westman?
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Okay. Presentation to the board. At this time, I'd like to move the proposed budget up. Let's talk about, could we do that, Sandy? And
Sure.
let's talk about the budget kind of separately, because that's the key reason for this meeting. As I look at the numbers, looks like the maintenance went up definitely. So in summary, rotate this around. Budget requests. So we're talking, you've highlighted in blue the last year's amendment request.
Yes, sir.
All right.
The current year.
And the current, I should say, you're right, the current year. And then the last column is the next year. So we're increasing the 22-23 budget in the area of interest, more revenue, more increasing the consultant fees slightly. No, we're not increasing. That's, well, yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Insurance went up a little bit. Grounds maintenance went up. That's being rectified. And page 2 of that, we got sewer supplies were up, and sludge removal was up with our new sludge removal contract. So we're up to the total numbers then.
And the third page, you got water supplies, consultant fees, and of course, repair and maintenance.
Okay. And we're up. Well, on the big picture, total dollar number, we're up. Let's see, revenues, expenses. So we're this year we lost $925 theoretically, or we're short cash flow wise. And then next year we propose to be at 72,000. Over the past few years, we've been averaging 100 to 200,000 in addition. So our fees, our rates are pretty good. We're pretty much balancing right now. And the sewer loan will drop off in 27, I think. So we got 3 years to go. Hopefully we can hold off on it. Any other discussion on it or thoughts on the budget?
You mean the budget amendments?
Amendments, I'm sorry, you're right. The budget amendments. If not, can I have a motion? Well, is there any discussion on the request or proposed budget then. Next column over.
I have one question on it, and that has to do with maintenance and repair. This last year, we spent 90,000, therefore, that's why we had the overrun. And yet, in the request, we've got 25,000. Again, this is where we were last year. Obviously, we can't guess at an accurate number for maintenance and repair, but when we blew that number off so far, should we maybe increase that 25,000 a little bit?
That's under sewer revenue?
Water.
Oh, water. It's water. Sorry, there we go. 25 to 95, yeah. 25 seems a little low. Our system, what do you think, Brandon? How are we doing with our old antiquated system there as far as valves and all? Are we going to get into that kind of stuff? We had a mild winter.
Yeah, I would have to agree, bump it up a little bit with the cost of materials, things that have gone up.
Yeah.
You know, pipe parts and all that stuff has gone up quite significantly anyway, so.
So you bump that up to about 50, you think?
Another 25,000, it makes sense.
I think so. Looking at the trend, hopefully we can knock it back down to 50. Maybe not.
Hopefully pipe comes down.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I have a client that has 800 feet of 8-inch pipe if you're looking for it.
Okay. So that revision is any other discussion or comments or questions on that? Can we go with the one revision on the next year's budget and the amended this year's budget as noted?
I think you need two different motions. I'll move that we amend the fiscal year 2023, 22-23 budget by all the delineated items in blue.
Okay, I'll support.
All right, can we have a vote on that then? Calleja?
Aye.
Flintoft?
Aye.
Kingsley?
Aye.
Hathaway?
Aye.
McLaughlin? Aye. Navarre? Aye. Westman?
Aye.
Okay. And a motion to approve the next year's budget as corrected, changing the water repair and maintenance number to 50 from 25 to 50,000.
So moved.
Second.
Support.
Patrick. Vote. Calleja.
Aye.
Flintoft.
Aye.
Kingsley.
Aye.
Hathaway.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Navarre. Aye. Westman.
Aye.
Too much talk. That's the budget. Good. Get through that. And main purpose of the meeting, public, let's see, I'm sorry. Operational issues, F&V.
Well, I sent you guys you have the quote for the recirculation pump.
Yeah, I have a quote. It didn't get in the bid package. I have a quote here for recirculation pump at the wastewater plant.
Yes.
It's for $1,932.62.
Yeah, so that's
18,000 RPM. I doubt.
I think he
That's
missed.
1,800.
Yeah, I think it's 1,800. Yeah, I seen that too.
All right.
So there's actually two of these pumps in there. One is a Flight and one is this Navarre pump that he quoted us. The hope is that if we replace this pump, we can pull both the other ones out, take one of them, have it rebuilt, and then maybe get back in. The problem being is this is confined space entry. Professional pump does offer somebody to go down in, take it off, pull it out, put it back in. That cost, we don't know. That is a cost we're not sure of.
So the replacement, the labor doing to replace and install is not.
Is not included in this. This is just the pump itself, and it's about 2 to 3 weeks out.
I don't, is this similar, you know, the original pump was a flight pump.
That's what we couldn't.
And I remember Dan replacing that about 5 or 10 years ago with the Ibarra, the one that went bad.
The Navarre?
Ibarra.
Yeah.
And so and I'm thinking here, and that one does not have a slide down stand, so it's not easy to install or replace.
No, because we were just gonna pull it ourselves and pull it up. And when the guys got out there with the truck and there's no rail, you gotta go down and unbolt it from the flange and then bring it up.
That just, so last time in, they must have hooked up a quick and dirty installer, didn't pay for a rail.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah, I
Going through the records, this is where we found the Navarre and then the flight. So there's one flight down there and one Navarre. So, I mean, we could look into rails and doing that part of it, but I don't know what.
Well, these pumps are gonna go out every 10 years.
Give or take, yeah.
Plus or minus.
Yeah. I mean, but
And they're the mainstream pump,
well, they're the recirculation pump.
well, which
So
required for biological treatment.
yes, exactly. So, I mean, it's up to you guys if you want me to investigate more into the rails. I mean, I don't know how much longer, what the plan is for the plant in the long term. So this would definitely get us by for at least 10 years on this pump. But I don't know which direction you guys are gonna go.
Do we wanna come in, or is it? I don't know enough about the maintenance of these pumps. If the old style that had a stand, you could slide down and install, and it would click into the old.
That would be the best way to go, but I mean,
Is it worth it? Or is this plant configuration gonna
change. That's the direction we don't know. However you guys want to go with it. If you want to change the configuration in 5 to 10 years or whatever.
Well, there's no reason to do anything now through 1940. The worst we'd had is this tertiary treatment.
Okay.
Which is a different, goes in a different direction or downstream of that.
Yeah, it would be downstream of those pumps.
I don't know, any comments on it or thoughts? Anyone else?
What would it cost to convert it to a rail system?
That I don't know. I have to talk with professional pump and see.
Yeah, I'd be getting a contractor in to do the same thing he's got to do on both the old one.
Yeah.
And then while he's there, install probably another day or so to.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're doing that, we might as well put 2 pumps in at the same time instead of rebuilding one.
Right.
Put the rails and the whole 9 yards in it.
Right.
So.
Because I think that's the original flight pump from 07 or whatever they installed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it would take, because if we go with Navarre or flight, doesn't matter. They can use the same rail system. Maybe what we can do is when they come out, they can get measurements and everything. If they came out and swapped this pump out, get us at least one recirculation pump going, good.
Yeah, and then get
a proposal. So they're actually there, they're looking at measuring everything and then see what we can do for rails to move forward. Because they have to go back anyway.
So that would make more sense. Just let's proceed, but you still need a price from them to take out the existing pump.
Yeah, I think.
Can we estimate, you estimate about $5,000?
5,000 to 6,000, I don't think we would go over that. What do you got?
Who lights that?
Ours came on.
Yeah, just,
And then knock you off Zoom, looks like.
it looks like it just flashed back on here.
Brandon, what was the pump for?
So recirculation for the
Water,
treatment.
Sewer treatment.
Just knocked out the screens in here.
No, so we're still on.
Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate any more than $6,000. From what he told me on the.
Well, it's a necessary for treatment. The pump is
Yeah.
required. We've got to
Yeah.
proceed with this. But I think if we do it in a fashion that makes sense or economical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we may be able to rebuild the Navarre, and then when they come back to put the second Navarre back in, install the rails, install all this stuff and do it right then.
Okay.
You know, might be a little more money, but maybe the Navarre pump can be rebuilt and it'll be cheaper. A little bit cheaper than
Yep.
1900.
So, okay. Well, so at this point, you need to proceed. Do we need a formal authorization from the board? Yes.
I would think that we would want to move that we would replace the failed recirculation pump with the price tag not to exceed $8,500, installation included.
Okay. Is there a second of that?
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Oh, I'll second it.
Will seconds it. Not to exceed 8,500. Okay. Less than
8,500?
Yeah. So 1,900 plus 6,000 and fudge factor.
Yeah. I got to vote on money. Okay.
8,500 again? I'm sorry.
Yes, 8,500. That's right. Let's do the vote. Calleja,
Aye.
Flintoft,
Aye.
Kingsley,
Aye.
Hathaway,
Aye.
McLaughlin, Navarre, aye. Westman?
Aye.
Good. We're in agreement.
And Dave, just a technical note, these screens are no longer projecting to Zoom, but everybody's still on here. So if you need to hear from Ted, we can hear his voice, but not see his face.
Oh, that's probably better. Oh, you can hear me?
Oh.
All right.
I got that in the minutes.
It is being recorded. Okay. Okay, Brandon, any other comments of the board, that the board should know about?
The new SCADA system is up and running. One minor issue that UIS is coming back to fix, but with the power outages, we haven't been able to have the well house 2 up and running. The alternator for the wells wasn't working properly, and he's just got to fix it in the program. And then I think we're really good.
Catching up on our projects, getting our projects done finally.
I also talked with Peerless Midwest about the flow meter that we approved. It did come in. I pushed him off a little because we had UIS in and issues and other things. So hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to get that water plant flow meter up and going.
All right, anything else? That's good.
I don't think so.
I think the major stuff. Good, you keep the checkbook in control there.
That's what I like to do.
All right, moving on. IMEG report, Ted.
Hi, Ted.
Good morning or afternoon. I'm sorry. It's been a day, I guess. So we were tasked to put together a letter documenting the easement situation at the golf course, and that was passed to the operations committee last couple weeks ago. And we had some comments, and we're pushing and we're reviewing that with the Jim Fink, the attorney. The other thing that we have hanging out there is a reliability study. Due to some staffing issues internally to us, we asked the Eagle to give us a 90-day extension, which they granted. So our plan is to have that ready for the September operations committee meeting to review and go over.
Okay, any comments from the board? Questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Status of MDEQ and our permitting issues. I don't think we have any issues there, do we, Brandon?
I don't think so.
The ops committee minutes, which everyone in the board received, had some discussions that the ops committee had about lead and copper issues in the line, in the leads to the houses.
Yeah, and Andrea sent an email out this afternoon. She actually talked to Eagle with Dexter, and they said that they, engineering standards for the copper service lines is acceptable. So the engineering standards where we say that.
That's on the engineering drawings, that's what was used.
Yep, and that is acceptable. So
Okay.
we'll have to gather all that stuff together.
All right, as Ted noted at the operations meeting also, when we had those meters installed, the data included the piping inside the house, what it was. So we have good record that it, quote, proof it was copper, not lead or not cast or galvanized steel.
Well, and since we're on lead and copper, I've got the sample bottles and everything ready. So I'll be handing out lead and copper samples here soon.
Okay. Yeah, gotta get those. All right, no other issues that I'm aware of, just that reliability study that they're looking for also. Operating committee minutes issues. Those were in the meeting packet. You can read those at your own leisure. If you have any questions, with a lot of discussions on meters, we've got to do something about our meters and what direction we head, or whether we replace or stick with the company or go to a different brand. At this point, our discussions at the ops meeting, I believe, was Dexter was going towards the Farnier or and we had Melton Ferner or something. Metron. Okay, that was it. And then we had some other quotes, but we really haven't decided anything yet. So we're gonna have to really dig in on that. We don't make sure we know how many there are and what direction we head in. We got to start pushing that. That's kind of our open-ended.
Whether it's a slow replacement of the ones that are gone bad, or what.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure that's probably the direction we'll head, is a slow replacement. But how it ties in with billing and what ideally what's the best system to use, and all that approach. So that's still in discussion at this point. Financial, Sandy. So current. Any issues, Sandy, as you look at the?
I don't see any, no.
There, nothing stands out.
Mm-hmm. Not that we didn't cover with budget amendments. From my perspective, things have been.
As far as the expenditures for this point in the year.
Yeah, no, from my perspective, everything's going well.
Okay, and we're where we should be about, looks like. Okay, anybody else?
We just have to approve the payments.
Oh, I got payments in here. Ooh, I didn't see those. I don't have the payments, and that's my fault. I gave the package that, what's her name? Christy sent out. I didn't see the payments in there.
No, they weren't, because I'd sent them to you.
Separate email.
And then,
okay.
well, I'd sent them to David, and then I seen they weren't in the packet, so I sent them out to everybody else last night.
Do you want to look at printout?
For a second. Anybody else have any issues? Any questions?
I didn't notice anything.
The total was $162,066.66.
It's pretty good for a quarter, isn't it?
Not bad. Like I said, things have been humming along.
Yeah, we got a lot of projects.
So you need a motion to approve
So
payments.
motion to approve the financial report. Well, and the checks, can we do it separate? We can.
It would be the list of checks dated 4/1/23 to 6/21/2023.
In the amount of $162,066.66.
Yeah, I've got the motion to approve the first quarter financial, not first, is this second?
This.
Well, it
Second.
depends on if you're talking calendar or fiscal. It's fiscal year fourth quarter,
Quarter, yeah.
calendar year second quarter.
Okay. I would say fiscal year, this is a fiscal report, right?
So that's a motion by you, John?
Oh, I thought it was by you.
You were articulating it, but I.
So fiscal year fourth quarter, financial reports as submitted, list of checks dated 4/1/23 to 6/21/23, totaling 162,066.66.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Second, Kingsley. Little roll call, Calleja,
Aye.
Flintoft,
Aye.
Kingsley,
Aye.
Hathaway,
Aye.
McLaughlin, Navarre, Westman.
Aye.
Okay, and then for another motion for the financial report. Do we need to approve that? We don't? Okay, then we don't. That's
Just
fine.
accepted.
Accepted. Any old business? Okay, new business. We have a couple of items to note. I have one, and we have a guest with us tonight, Michael Lesage. Sorry, Mike.
Better than guessing.
From the Woodhill Group. He's got a proposal for us. From previous meeting discussions, we talked about backup or how we proceed in this direction. This is a option we have to look at for the board. And I think we've got to realize that this is not a permanent option because, well, in my discussions with others, this would be more for transitional. I don't know what direction we're going in or how we proceed here, but let's, we're open, Mike, and I guess could you, and everybody was handed an exhibit of scope of services, Exhibit A, as well as estimate of proposal estimate and costs. So with that, why don't you kind of tell us what you can offer us, Michael? And sure. And what our options are. We're looking at the options. We want to be able to respond quickly, and we want to be able to address all the issues proactively. This organization is a what do I want to say, a skeleton group made up of basically 2 contractors, operations and the accounts, and we're looking for them to be proactive in leading us to make sure we're addressing all the issues. The meters is one issue that, of course, now you've heard. Can you give us kind of a quick overview of your proposal?
Sure. Well, I can start with Mike Lesage from Woodhill Group, and what I do, and my background is in primarily in IT and finance, managed a lot of things over the years as a small business owner, and I'm semi-retired. So all of that's to say that I came into this arena, and what we do at Woodhill Group is manage utility billing for townships, and we can also work with townships to transition from, say, a third-party supplier or outsourced provider to an in-house provider during over a period of time. So we've, in one case, we brought in billing to Augusta Township completely from D&B Billing, which was their previous provider. We've set them all up, worked with the township, trained the staff, and took over working with meter reading, working with folks like F&V, worked on a meter replacement program of 1,600 meters over 3 years.
Well, Augusta was a 1,600 meter.
Yes, yes, and they had census meters that were very old.
Oh, they have census?
Yes, but their system was very old, and the endpoints were failing simply because they were 20 years old. It wasn't the problem. I did speak to Brandon a little bit about your problem. So if I'm going off on one tangent, just kind of bring me back in, but I'll give you an idea of what we've done in the past. So in that case, we were having about 600 of the 1,600 endpoints were not reliable. So we were doing manual reads constantly. When we got there, we thought it was 200. It turned out to be about 600 unreliable. And I think Brandon can attest to the grief, and as your customers can, of getting estimated bills frequently and then getting that actual read that can often be a surprise.
Yeah,
so
your mind. Yes, we just went through all that.
Yes, and unfortunately, you just went through a meter replacement program, and now you're having problems with the new ones. We went with Badger meters and Beacon software. I'm pretty much the guy that manages the Beacon software. So I have a dashboard of all of the meters in the system, and I work with finding leak detects, and I work with the township staff to help them learn how to use this as well. As far as day-to-day operations, I brought that in-house over to Augusta, but they handle most of the day-to-day stuff. I answer weird questions like.
So Augusta has a staff.
Yeah, they have one person primarily that does the billing management. Then they have somebody doing cash receipts.
And then they have F&V operations.
F&V operations, and the treasurer also works on it as well. So that's the staff, and I'm the guy that gets a phone call and says, hey, this guy's got this weird thing, what would you do? Or we need to get this meter, provisioned and it's not working. You know, we brainstorm those kind of things. But as far as, and then I do a lot of analysis early on in that particular project. I took over, we were bringing it in-house, and we were also doing we did a rate study and increased water rates, which always drives phone calls, friendly phone calls to the township.
Really?
Sure. So what we did is we put it in a voicemail system, and then I answered phone calls for the first 3 months. I think I got over 150 phone calls from customers asking about their bill and solving those kind of problems. That worked really well.
So you did all the customer contact?
Yes, sir. Yes. I was a small business owner for a long time. I always had to answer the phone and talk to the customers that had the most problems. So, and then what we've done is we've brought that in-house. We're at 99.8% reads on a daily basis from all of our meters. So I can see anything. And I think out of 1,600 meters, we have 29 endpoints that have had problems. A lot of them are not getting a signal, that kind of stuff.
In your IT background, so you know how these systems, you can integrate these systems, BSA versus.
Yes, and yes, and I do, I'm pretty good at BSNA, utility billing. I've worked with creating custom reports, customize the bill for them so they have a full page bill with it's in plain English. rather than a simple postcard or the standard BSNA format, which is very confusing. So I try to give customers the kind of information they're looking for on a piece of paper. And then on the back side, we put other information, and then I try to give them the tools they have so they can answer their own questions. And from what Brandon said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have manual reads and people are sending them in and they're processed. And that's not ideal, of course, because you spend a lot of money on a new meter system. But I've done those kind of things too.
Well, that's a temporary situation, which the homeowners are calling me on a weekly basis and saying, how long is this going to go on for? So
Correct.
I get a lot of questions along that line.
Yeah. Eventually the customer says, when are you going to start paying me to do your meter reads?
Right.
So what I would envision is something like that is creating a place on your website where people can actually go there and upload their own meter read, a photo of their meter, which then organizes the information flow so that it's always consistent, or to the extent possible. So those are the kind of things I try to do, is look at something and say, what's working, what's not. Let's not reinvent the wheel for no reason. Let's find the pain points and focus on those so that we reduce the amount of time you spend handling work, handling piece of paper, opening an email, printing it out, looking up the customer. We want to streamline that. And that's what these AMR systems, where you're doing a radio read, are supposed to get rid of all that.
Now, the Badger system that Augusta Township has, is that a radio read or is it cell?
It's a cellular. It's a cellular system. And it's worked pretty well. We had some hiccups. We did it during COVID. We actually literally started this in 2020, which presented some issues, but we have completed the program and I'm very pleased with it. I'm using the data, most of the data. And then when I do it, we do a billing read, it takes 5 minutes. You download something out of BSNA, upload it into Beacon, say, get me the billing reads, and it gives you a file, you upload that into BSNA and you're on your way. And that is slick. We were doing literally 600, between 200 and 600 estimates every 2 months. And it was erratic and customers were not happy. Now we're down to less than 40 on an average month, or average billing cycle. So that's been a huge improvement in the efficiency, accuracy, and no one is satisfied when they get their water bill. But from a customer satisfaction standpoint, I can tell them it's accurate. And that is a good starting point for any conversation about, well, I can't change the bill, but I can assure you that we've measured it properly. We're applying the rate, and then we go from there on their conversation.
If I can interrupt you for just
Yes,
a second.
please.
You actually gave me a good idea, and I'm going to check with SLC if it's possible, the Beacon system. In Augusta, I helped connect the Beacon system, which is basically a different MXU, to a census meter. And I'm going to check and see if we can actually buy those beacons and hook them to the census. See if we don't have to change the meter, just change the endpoints.
Is it an e-coder?
I don't know, and that's why I want to double check, but there may be an option like that too. I just thought of that. I'm making notes.
So what we recently did, and in Augusta Township, and I use that as an example because I've done soup to nuts, literally just about everything there except go out in the field and fix a water main, and I can't do that right now. But what we did recently is connect these endpoints to the Yucca master meters that are coming for the supply into the township. We have 3 master meters that do 99% of the water coming in. We are now able to what we call a supply zone. So here's the water coming in, and then I have all my demand, which is all my customer meters. And on a daily basis, I can show you right on my from my phone, I can literally show you what's our daily water loss. We've had a significant problem in Augusta Township on water loss, and that was one of the reasons we did a meter program. And for the month of June, and this is high, I'm sure for you folks, but we're at about 27%. We were up over 40 in last year due to a leak we've been looking for. We got it down to 15 to 17% at one point in time. But
well, that's the things we want to be looking for. We haven't with the new. We were about 20% unaccounted for, but since we haven't really been able to get some accurate any numbers we can feel comfortable with.
Right, and I just turned this new feature on when, and Brandon, I guess, helped do that. They're using active, I think they're from Master Meter.
I think there was some.
But whatever the brand is, those were compatible with the beacon endpoints. We flipped that switch, and I now have, for the last 5 weeks, I've been able to tell on a daily basis what the water loss is. So
what is your, I don't want to say your recommendation, but what are your most highly rated recommended meters at this point? So
I'm not a meter reliability expert. I have not worked with every meter system out there. What I have seen in Badger and some of the features, I can tell you the things that are necessary in any of these new, if you're paying for these cellular systems that can give you quarter hour reads 24 hours a day, you want to be able to go to a dashboard and drill in on, call up an address and say, what's happened today? Get a leak detect. And so that if you get continuous flow from somebody, that it triggers an alert or it shows up on a report that's easily accessible. Badger has done that. There may be census. We didn't have, we had the old census meters. They were analog. They did the radio read, but we only did them every 2 months. It was terrible. We didn't know for 3 months. Like if you, from the beginning of February, if there was a leak or something, you didn't know for nearly 7-8 weeks. Now we know on a daily basis. So those are the kind of things I like, is the immediacy of it. Tells me if there's an endpoint that's not working. We can run a report, F&B can run a report, and then address those problems quickly. Those have been the things that I think have really provided long-term benefit to the township. As far as the other things we do, we implemented work orders. We try to get work orders directly into BSNA on a service address so that stays with that customer history. So 5 years from now, if somebody moves, we hopefully had that work order down, so we knew that in 2017 or 2023, this happened at that address. A new meter was put in, or perhaps some kind of service was done at that. You have final bills and you have a point, what do you call it? You said a purchase inspection. I don't know.
Point of sale inspection.
Point of sale inspection.
And they sell, we go and inspect the house for sump pump, tied and sanitary, and the final meter read.
Yes, and final reads are always a somewhat expensive process because they require, again, manual work, and they're time consuming. So yeah,
but we really feel the house has to be inspected anyway. I don't know. So they are there. Someone's got to be there anyway.
Yes, and I understand that. What we like to do is try to make an efficient process so that, if possible, the final read and the final billing process is minimized on your end to save money, unless you're charging for that service. And if you're not charging, you're eating that cost. So we have some ways that we can offer the title company tools, and the homeowner or F&B can read it, send something to the title company with a form and how to figure out the bill, and they can work that out at closing time. And that's one way we can reduce the time, the costs, and as you said, you have a skeleton crew. There's things that make sense to do, and there's other things, can we do them a little differently and save you time and money. As far as other things that the company does, Woodhill Group also does rate studies, and that's not included in the scope of work here. We would oversee the audit, things like that. We can do that. We work with F&V already, and so I don't know what else I could tell you. Before. Okay. I could go on and on all night about water.
That's all right. I'll open it up for just any questions from anyone.
Dave. Hi, Michael. Jessica.
Hello, Jessica.
I don't think we've ever met in person.
I've seen you on Zoom.
Good to meet you, and I now see you in person. Can you talk a little bit? One of the concerns we've had at LASA is sort of like, you know, backup plans to this staffing function. Can you talk a little bit about what the staffing pattern would be for this proposal?
Yes. Yes, I would be the primary person that would be handling it. Ryan Clark of our firm would be my direct backup. Mm-hmm. And then Colleen Coogan has decades of experience in utility. So that she's the subject matter. Yeah, I did this 28 years ago, and this is what you have to do. So, but there is backup. Like just recently, I had surgery on my hand. I wasn't able to type for a couple of weeks. We have people that can help make sure that the job gets done.
Yeah, and you know, it's as simple as phone calls, and that people call all the time and complain, you know. So, and it's always been good. Sandy's a good bad cop, and I can be a good cop. Then I could live in the subdivision and not get harmed. But I think we are concerned about, you know, responding in a timely fashion.
Yeah, and I would commit to. My goal is 24 hours, is a one business day. So if you called on a Monday, you're getting a call by Tuesday. Simply because most things can be handled quickly over the phone.
Yes.
And if there is something, I can get the information, get their email address, look it up, and send them an email and respond. I like to do it that way. That way we have a record of what work we did. If there's an adjustment, those can be taken care of and sent out as well. So I do understand the importance of customer service. I also spent 6 years on city council on that side of the table. And I understand that people rarely come to praise you. And what we want to do is have them come back and say, you know, we may not like it, but at least it's working. And we have confidence that it's being done as well as possible.
Any other comments, discussions?
I wanted to point out one thing we do suggest is outsourcing the printing and mailing of the bills. That can be done. It's pretty straightforward through BS&A. You can simply make a large Adobe PDF file. You can send that over to KCI. They have a address vetting process. They make sure your addresses are clean. They apply the barcode, they print, they stuff it, they mail it, and it's gone in a day. And so that saves a lot of handwork on the postcards. I've done those.
We use them for taxes, and I've used them for.
Yeah. Sandy, is that who Donna uses, or Andrea?
Nope.
Okay, we use Print Tech, but
okay. There's other firms that I think we've got a quote from them in the past too. But the service works very well, and then it's you hand that off. There's an approval process. Yep, here's your proof. Or this is what you want to run, and then once that gets approved, it's done. And their rates, their postage rates are a little better than just going to the post office and buying stamps.
Yeah, using the services pre-sorted and saving off.
Mm-hmm. And one of the benefits of a full-sided or a full-page bill is you can, on the back, You can print other information about the water or the utility itself, contact information, processes on final bills, those kind of things.
Could you include the consumer confidence report in that as well? And save some money in the mailing portion of it? Once a year.
That'd be that, I don't know what the legal aspects of it are, but if that's, we could certainly do that.
That's acceptable for Eagle to spend.
Right.
I mean, it does end up being a.
It goes out with a one of the
It
bills.
ends up being a 4-page document when you're done with it, but it is a.
Yeah, and you can have other pages added. Well,
Okay.
what we do is we send basically the front of the bill and one standard back of the bill. And then the printer just merge prints those. They can also, we've also done where you can add a insert in there as well. So you could do that, saves the postage cost. So those kind of things are possible. And if you have other ideas or wonder about things, I'm always open to see. What are you looking to do?
Yeah, auto pay, of course, we've established here. Sandy's established.
And email billing, I believe you're doing that, and I always push that for folks. Yes, fortunately or unfortunately, I always get my water bill through email. And then I auto pay, and that's very good too. So
when you send out email bills, doesn't it get caught in people's spam folders?
it can. It depends on their spam filtering. And BS&A actually handles that through through their own mailing system, which is a known bulk mailer. So that should reduce a lot of that. That should minimize a lot of that. But I can get an email from Scio Township or F&V from one guy, and then the next somebody else like Brandon emails me and it ends up in my spam filter, even though it's from the same company, the same what we call domain. So it's mostly they avoid the spam filter, the junk mail folder, but that's always a possibility, and it's on the user end at that point.
I would make a motion that we enter into a 2-year contract with Woodhill Group to provide the services outlined in Exhibit A that's been provided for us.
I thought we were just considering this not as an option. I didn't know that we had a contract and a proposal.
We don't have a contract, we have a proposal.
I'd like to have more time to think about it before voting to enter into a contract myself.
Could you restate the motion? Did you get that, Barb?
I haven't gotten it all. Enter into a 2-year contract with Woodhill Group as outlined in the proposal.
In Exhibit A, that proposal.
Support?
Well, we have a motion.
Discussion.
Yeah, discussion.
Yeah, I'm a
discussion.
little surprised that we're moving so quickly on a proposal that we just had delivered to us at the table this evening. I would like more time to consider it and understand what it is that we're doing here. I thought we had some discussion at operations committee, and it didn't seem to me that we were going to have a proposal like this coming to the board at this meeting.
Well, no, this was not through the operations committee. There was some discussion is all, I agree. You know, it's a tough situation. We're trying to move in. I think we're trying to take a step to get more technically sound in this area, and it's either, in my opinion, my thoughts are, is Technically, Sandy needs the help. If, you know, if it was these two set up, it would be fine if we had a lead person. We tried to go, and I'm not blaming you, Sandy, at all. You do an excellent job and have worked very hard. We appreciate it all. Just try to look to take LASA to the step where we're more into the 20th century IT wise and using your technology to our best. And I see issues on the side between the township and LASA, and I think she's in a terrible position. It's very difficult, and I think we got to step back and look, how can we make this simpler for everybody?
I thought we were going to have more options than just one. And
well,
I thought we would also ask Sandy to bring this job description for consideration of sort of options for backup.
I didn't see, was there a job description?
Yeah, that was part of what was sent out in the email that evidently you didn't get.
I didn't get.
I just think there's more for us to consider here than I feel like we're sort of rushing into a one solution when there's more. I think there needs to be more time for consideration of options.
Well, who's going to come up with those options? I don't.
I thought you had more than one option when we were talking in the operations committee.
We haven't been able to find some. We're looking. The other thing is, you know, even in our church, we don't. Family member as a backup, I don't think is appropriate plan. We need to get we need to have a good backup plan that we can meet the needs of the customer. That's the only. I just feel we've been just talking about it for a year now, to tell you the truth, and we haven't come up with anything.
Except that I did.
What? This?
I told you I had 2 other people willing to.
Yeah, we need to see qualifications or something.
Let's take some time and do that so that we're considering more than just one option. I mean, I'm no offense to our presenter, but this came as sort of a surprise to me. You know, it wasn't even in the meeting packet that was distributed ahead of the meeting, and it's kind of expensive. So it's, you know, it's not a long-term solution. It's a step. Well, with the motion is for a 2-year contract. Yeah, that's a substantial amount of time.
Got it, but I don't. It's even our auditor said this isn't going this way. It's not a long-term solution, and they don't want it to be a long-term solution either. So it's a chance to get us into it, start to see if there's a different direction we can edit or use that technology to.
Well, I strongly urge the
board. I just don't see another option coming unless I find another person. We find someone capable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's take some time and see if we can find some other options and have materials ahead of the meeting before rushing into a decision for an expensive firm that has produced mixed results for Scio Township.
They have produced, I would say, excellent results in our utility area in particular, helping us rewrite our water and sewer ordinance, doing a utility efficiency study, getting us away from final bills, reconfiguring BSNA, reducing a lot of the inefficiencies.
So the Woodhill firm has one advocate in Scio Township in the clerk and has one strong critic in the supervisor. And if you want, we can have a review of all of the different things that the clerk and the supervisor disagree about Woodhill. And I can give you examples of mistakes they made that cost the township a lot of money and caused us legal problems. But we don't have to get into that. We can simply postpone this discussion and see if we can find some other options.
I don't think you'll find other options right now.
We're
trying with Wayne.
We want to get involved in Scio Township's problems. And we all understand that there's a conflict between you and Jessica, and I don't know who else. I don't get involved in that. If there is a red flag that there are problems with Woodhill. You need to state what that problem is.
Well, the Woodhill group, members of the Woodhill group gave incorrect advice that caused the township to following that advice, put us in a legal situation where we were sued by somebody because of it. And that cost us money and time and a lot of trouble. Now, they also have put together budgets for the township. They put together a budget that included errors that were discovered by our auditor, Plant Moran, and that we had to take corrective actions in order to cope with those problems. So I think those are two examples right there of sort of obvious situations that we got into with Woodhill Group. And I think we should take time, we should pause and see if we can do better, or at least have some other options to consider besides plunging ahead with an expensive contract with the Woodhill Group.
And I would just state, fair characterizations, the Woodhill Group did navigate the township advice that led us into legal trouble. The Woodhill Group did not make any errors on our budget for fiscal year end 21 that they produced.
Well, I appreciate the presentation, and I think it's a great idea to be as efficient as possible. I particularly like the idea you had about having people upload information for their meter usage and avoid doing that manually when possible. But I agree with Will that I'm a little uncomfortable when we're considering contract proposal to only have one option. It just seems to me that it would be prudent to have at least one other one that you can compare. Not that I think that there's anything wrong with this, and frankly, I don't know if this would be expensive or relatively cheap comparatively. But I would like to be able to have that make that judgment call.
I suggest that we postpone the decision on this until our next meeting. And that will give us time to see if we can find some other options. I'll work on it.
I will just share our example inside Township of looking for financial firms. We're about to consider an RFP for finance director services tomorrow night. The market is the market everywhere from McDonald's through these sorts of services. I think you all know it's in tough demand. I don't know what the search was. I'd leave that, but I think we're fortunate to have one qualified contractor who's available before us tonight.
We've made some mistakes inside Township by having too small of a pool and choosing from within too small of a pool. And in fact, I think we had some situations where we narrowed it down to one candidate, and we were on the verge of hiring somebody who would have been a mistake. I think it'll be easier for the LOCH Alpine Sanitation Authority to find candidates because we're not suing ourselves. So we won't be pushing people away by looking like a dysfunctional organization.
Well, I guess I will just make a comment, which is item 2. I'm moving out of the subdivision in 2 months, 3 months, and I'm the representative for the sub. I'll throw that out too. So I don't know where that's going to go, which means basically I'll be gone
in 2 months,
in 2 to 3 months, if they following the.
To clarify, Dave, this has nothing to do with the conflict in Scio Township between Will and Jessica and others.
Yeah.
Well, Well, that's reassuring.
So we'll have to fill your shoes as well.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, from my vote standpoint, I'm not going to be around either.
Well, I don't know that warrants, in my view, rushing forward with the decision tonight.
Right.
I think we have a motion on the table.
We do, I guess, we give a
Roll call vote.
Calleja,
Aye.
Flintoft,
Aye.
Kingsley,
Aye.
Hathaway,
Nay.
McLaughlin,
Nay.
Navarre. I've got to say aye. I want it. Westman.
Aye.
Passes.
I see that.
Please make arrangements to pick up all your stuff.
Thank you for all your efforts, Sandy. I apologize.
I'm sorry, David, it falls on deaf ears at this point. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're in for a world of hurt because they messed up Scio Township utility billing, even though nobody else will say that.
Want to move on with the agenda?
Moving on. With that in mind, I guess we need to do what actions necessary to incorporate, get this thing going. We need to discuss any of that as part of the meeting. We need to pass Sandy to kind of get her password and stuff. Get her.
These are really board actions.
Okay. Do that later. Any other public comments?
No public present.
Okay.
There's one hand raised. Would you like to call? One hand raised. Pam Boyd.
Good evening, Pam Boyd, a Scio resident. As a resident who has been watching your meetings for almost 2 years and somebody who does not live in Loch Alpine, I applaud you all for moving forward with this motion. I think it is will be in the best interest of all residents of Loch Alpine. And I know it was a tough, long discussion, and I think you all did very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Next up is Jonathan.
Yeah, I'll just echo Pam's comments. Well done. It would be, it's really nice to see people taking decisive action in a direction that is helpful to the residents, despite the internal pressure that we just saw as it blew off and ran out of the room. I think you guys did the right thing. I think that reaction shows that you did the right thing. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jonathan. I see no other hands.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned 6:12.
Thank you, everybody.